What's up everyone, welcome back to Brad's Bioactive Builds, where I do step-by-step do-it-yourself naturalistic animal enclosures. In today's video, I'll be going over the structure on how I built this 8x4x6 paludarium. I realize not a lot of people will attempt to build this size, but hopefully it gives you some tips and tricks on how you can replicate something like this on a much smaller scale. I also intend on making a completely naturalistic background in the series to come. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back. If you're a new viewer, welcome. Make sure to subscribe so you can follow me along on this series. I got a pretty cool announcement. I'm going to be doing a free giveaway on a brand new enclosure that I'm going to be building. So make sure to watch this video so you can find out what the details are and enter to win. Alright, let's go. Picked up 4 sheets of PVC board, along with 2-inch, 1.5-inch, and 1-inch XPS board. Measured 16 on center to start building out the bottom base. Cut my 2x4s. Screwed them in using 3-inch decking screws. Laid down the top sheet of 5/8 plywood. Secured it into place using 1 5/8 decking screws. Flip the base upside down so I can start working on the bottom side. Use the pocket hole jig to drill some holes that I'll be using for the center support of the base. Applied some wood glue and added the center support into its spot. Standing on both 2x4s while screwing into place holds it in tight to the plywood. Cut some 1-inch XPS board so I can spray foam it into place, regulating temperatures during the winter months, keeping it away from the cold floor. This will also serve a second purpose, regulating temperatures on the inside of the enclosure, topped off the seams with some spray foam. Quick tip to prevent your can from curing over, just put some painter's tape over the nozzle. This is so you can use it later. Flip the base right side up. Swept away any debris so the base would lay as flat as possible. For the water portion of this build, I'll be using a 250-gallon Laguna tub. I so wanted to go sledding down the hill in the tub, but I didn't want to crack it in the process. Hold it up onto the base. To help square everything off temporarily, I used 2x4s to create a bump stop so the lip would seat into place. This will also help with the front when I go to finish off the fine details. But I'll do a quick simulation for what I'll be doing in the future. Pretend that this is a full sheet of plywood, so it'll line up with the bottom base, the tub, the bottom dam, and the top header. Adding posts to where the top of the enclosure will be extended out to. In total, I had 4 posts on the left side. Measured the height of the tub, cut 2x4s to that measurement, and secured them to the post I just made. This will all make sense in a minute, let me explain. Made sure everything was squared up, and screwed it home. Added another 2x4 to this post so I can make a corner. And then added 3 more 2x4s, the same height as the tub, making a corner on the back left side. This will allow my 2x2 to connect from the top of the tub to the post for the top portion of the enclosure. Cut some 2x2s to start making the frame for the bottom of the enclosure. Rip some 2x4s at 6 inches. For my posts of the bottom dam, I'll be adding them on top of where the support is for the molding of the lip of the tub. This is to help distribute the weight of the enclosure on top of the tub. Marking where I'll be adding the bolt holes that'll be going through the 2x2 under the lip of the tub, securing it into place. Used a hole saw so my bolt head would recess inside of it. Drilled a hole so my bolt would go through it. Nice and flush. This is for when I add my XPS board, it doesn't lay on top of the bolt head, but instead on the 2x2. Once again using a pocket hole jig. Now that I have my bolt holes prepped and my 2x4s cut, I can start attaching it all together. Mocked everything up for a dry fit. Added some wood glue and screwed the bottom frame into place. Everything was running level. I realized I wanted a little more structure, so I added a 2x4 to the top of the dam. Clamped everything down. And secured it into place. Since this build is going to be a paludarium with high humidity and water, and this part of the build is going to be on the inside, I wanted the waterproof. For that, I added Drylock Original. While that was added, I also dry locked in the top header. I didn't draw up any blueprints for this build, and it was about this point I realized I made a mistake. Aside from getting a lot of helpful pointers from my friend Mike and the enclosure that he made and where the inspiration of this build came from, I just started making my own. With that being said, I made the enclosure about an inch too long, so I had to reduce the left side about an inch and a half and build out some more support. This will allow the ceiling of the enclosure to sit on top of the side panels. But I'll also show you a little bit later on in the video what I'm talking about. Just had to reassemble everything. In the long run, this actually ended up working better for support. After one more test fit, I pulled the frame off the tub so I can start measuring for my panels. I added an inch for the back panel. Measured the left side and the right side. Cut my panels. Marked a 1/4 inch line where I'll be using it as a guide and drilling every 6 inches. Attach my right side panel to the face of the back side panel. Using a 90-degree clamp to hold everything into place and square it up. Drilled pilot holes and then used 1¼ inch drywall screws to button it all up. Butted the frame against another enclosure to keep it from moving, and put my side panels into place, making sure it was tight in the corner. Starting from the back right corner, I screwed in the back panel to the 2x2. Then proceeded to screw in the right bottom side of the panel. Repeated the same process on the left side. I'd like to take a moment to say thank you to my Patreons. Your added support is super appreciated. Now to secure in the bottom dam. Ran a soft check to make sure everything was running pretty square. To add a header, I used a scrap piece of 2x4 and marked a line. Clamp that 2x4 to the line, so I can rest my top header on the 2x4. Went ahead and screwed it into place. At this point, the enclosure is still pretty flimsy. But after adding the front side support, this thing is rock solid. Secured the bottom and top into place first, and then the sides. From there I placed on the top ceiling panel. This is why I had to reduce the enclosure 1.5 inches earlier, so the ceiling would sit on top of the side panels rather than on the inside of them. Screw down the front first, then the top to the right side panel, then the back, and then the left side. And it passed Honey's inspection. Got some help from my wife to lift the enclosure on top of the tub. In order to win a free 4x2 by 2.5 foot enclosure with hardscape, all you have to do is like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video. Go ahead and send me confirmation to my Instagram account. For my Patreon members, $3 and up, I'll enter your name 4 additional times. I'll also add some details down in the pinned comment below to make the announcement at the end of this series. If you're outside of the US, I'll go ahead and send you $200 instead. This right angle attachment is great for tight spots, when your drill won't fit. Drilled some pilot holes for my lag bolts. Did a slight turn to make sure it was snug, with it nicely recessed into the 2x2. Repeated the same process going through the lip of the tub. Added a washer and bolted it down. And worked my way around the rest of the rim of the tub. I did use a nylon lock nut washer to prevent it from unscrewing itself. Built in some more support for the bottom of the 2x2. Pulled some measurements and cut some wood to tie everything in. I tend to overbuild stuff, so I added some more support for the 2x4 underneath the 2x2. Mainly because I'm going to have some weight in this section with a lay box I'll be putting in this void. Check the level and screw it in this 2x4. It will help with the expansion when the tub is full of water and also give the lay box something to rest on instead of putting on the lip of the tub. Wrap the inside header with PVC board, holding it up with clamps. I did make sure not to screw it down where I'd be adding my vents later on. I will be wrapping the bottom dam later on in this series once I start the hardscape. I just wanted to show you what it would look like. I have been cutting the PVC board I've been wrapping the header and the bottom dam about 1/4 inch high. This is for when I add the glass track, it'll have something to butt up against and keep it in a straight line. It's going to be fun making this paludarium look as natural as possible, like I have with some of my other builds, and I can't wait to share with you all the evolution of that process throughout this series. If you've enjoyed this video so far, please consider like, commenting, and subscribing. It really helps this channel continue to grow. Don't forget to enter the raffle to win a free enclosure. For the next video in the series, check it out right up here. For a cool playlist on a series I just completed, check it out right there. For some other videos you might like, check it out right here. Thanks for watching.